These are my top 10 Braves prospects for the halfway point of the 2025 season. Now, if you haven't already seen my top 10 list from the beginning of the year, then be sure to watch that video. But with the promotions of Drake Baldwin and AJ Smith-Shawver, we now have a brand new #1 overall prospect for the Braves in Nacho Alvarez Jr. Nacho is a former 5th round draft pick in 2022 who has rocketed up the minors and prospect lists, making it all the way to AAA in 2024. And he even debuted for Atlanta in place of an injured Ozzie Albies. Since being drafted, Nacho has done nothing but hit and get on base at each level in the minors. Reports also have him as an MLB capable defender, but there's uncertainty about exactly where he's going to play, as he's been a shortstop most of his career, but reports have him better suited at 2nd or 3rd. Now, despite being on the cusp of joining the Braves for good, Nacho has been dealing with a wrist injury that's had him sidelined all year long. He is thankfully back, as he made 2 rehab starts in the Complex League before heading back up to AAA Gwinnett. Nacho will look to start ramping back up to hopefully make an impact with Atlanta very soon. Now, coming in at #2, we have a prospect who actually sat outside of my top 10 coming into this season, but he was featured in my honorable mentions video. However, he has now firmly planted himself into the top of this Braves system in Didier Fuentes. A hard-throwing young righty, Fuentes started the year off in High A Rome, making just 3 starts before being moved up to Double-A Columbus for 5 solid starts before going down with a blister on his pitching hand. However, the Braves decided that was all they needed to see out of Fuentes in Columbus, as they promoted the then 19-year-old right-hander to Triple-A Gwinnett, making Fuentes the 3rd teenager ever to play for Gwinnett, with Ronald Acuna Jr. and Ozzie Albies being the other 2. But it doesn't end there, because after just 1 start at Gwinnett, the Braves have called Fuentes up to Atlanta, where he'll be making his debut against the Marlins. Now, control/command is always going to be a question mark for these young guys, but Fuentes has seemingly quieted these concerns, as his walk rate has stayed consistent while he's risen through the minors, including a Double-A this year, which is a huge test for the now barely 20-year-old. No one saw Fuentes rocketing up the minors this year, but the Braves are known for being aggressive with their promotions, but not this aggressive, so they obviously see something big with Fuentes. Look for a more in-depth video on Fuentes on my channel in the future. And if you're enjoying this video and you want more content like it, please comment, like, and subscribe, as it really helps this channel grow. We are almost at 1,000 subscribers. Thank you everyone for your support. Now, coming in at #3, we have Atlanta's 2024 first-round draft pick in Caminiti, as the Braves plucked the then 17-year-old out of high school in Scottsdale, Arizona. Some Braves fans may recognize the last name Caminiti from the former 3-time All-Star and 1996 NL MVP winner Ken Caminiti, who is Cam's cousin. Cam's first professional season has gone well in 5 starts so far, as Cam quickly overmatched Complex League hitters, and the Braves responded by moving Cam up to Low-A Augusta, where in a handful of starts, Cam has shown plenty of promise. This is a big-time arm who is very young, and at 18 could have the highest ceiling of any arm on this list, but is still a few years away from making an impact in Atlanta. Next at #4, we have Atlanta's first-round draft pick in 2023 in Hurston Waldrep. And Hurston even made it all the way up to AAA for a single start in his draft year. 2024 saw Waldrep start the year back at Double-A Mississippi, where he really solidified himself, which prompted the Braves to promote him to Triple-A Gwinnett, where he put up pretty solid numbers in 8 starts, excluding his walk rate, leaving Waldrep as a dark horse rotation candidate for the 2025 season. But unfortunately for everyone, Waldrep's walk rate really is still holding him back. Now, the rest of his underlying numbers are still solid, but he's got to get the walks down if he wants to start in Atlanta. Now, thankfully for Waldrep, he does have an elite splitter that should allow him to be effective out of a major league bullpen if he can never rein in those walks. But that's a discussion for the future, as Waldrep's too young and too close to start seriously thinking about that just yet. Coming in at #5, I have the Braves' competitive balance round draft pick in 2022, where they snagged the young right-hander J.R. Ritchie out of Bainbridge High School in Washington State. Early returns were very promising for Ritchie, but he was only able to make a total of 4 starts in 2023 before getting bit with the Tommy John bug. Ritchie returned in May of 2024, and since coming back, he's picked up right where he left off, with this year being no exception, as Ritchie started the year off in High A, but after 7 dominant starts, quickly saw himself move up to Double-A Columbus. He's only had a handful of starts there, but his numbers have remained solid. If Ritchie can keep mowing down batters while limiting the walks, he'll continue moving up the Braves minor league ladder and can even start knocking on Atlanta's door as soon as sometime maybe next season. Now at number 6, we have the Braves' first round draft pick in 2022, who, stop me if you've heard this already, went down needing Tommy John surgery in May of 2024. Tommy John is usually around a year or so for recovery time, so expect Murphy to potentially pitch some professional innings towards the end of this year, but if not, he should be ready to go by spring of 2026. Bringing us to number 7, where I have the Braves' second round draft pick in 2023, who was thought of as a reach at the time, but ended up signing for overslot in Drue Hackenberg. Hackenberg impressed in his draft year, and also in his first full season, where he solidified himself at Double-A. Hackenberg came into 2025 looking to get one step closer to Atlanta, but unfortunately for Hackenberg, his numbers have backed up a little bit this year, and he went down with an undisclosed injury in early June. Hackenberg will look to recover and get back to knocking on Atlanta's doorstep. I'd expect to hear more about Hackenberg next year, as he wasn't really expected to make an impact this year, and now even less so than before, but there's a lot of potential here, and you could hear Hackenberg's name in Atlanta as soon as next season. Now, coming in at number 8, we have another pitcher that was in my honorables mention video to start the year, in Blake Burkhalter. Burkhalter was the Braves' second round draft pick in 2022 out of Auburn University, where his pitching coach was former Braves star Tim Hudson. Burkhalter was sent to Double-A Columbus to start the year, where he's kept up his solid strikeout numbers while continuing to suppress home runs at an elite rate. Expect Burkhalter to move up to Triple-A soon, and he could even debut later in this year, but if not, look for him to debut in Atlanta sometime next year. Now at number 9, we have another pitcher that was in my honorable mentions video to start off the year, in Garrett Baumann. Baumann was a 4th round draft pick for the Braves in 2023 out of Haggerty High School in Florida, and Baumann impressed big time in 2024 at Low A. The Braves sent the 20-year-old Baumann to High A Rome to start off the 2025 season, where he's mowed down batters at an even better rate than previously, while keeping the walks in check. His home run rate has been uncharacteristic of him this year, as it went from elite to awful, but it seems like that's something that'll hopefully correct itself with a bigger sample size. A promotion to Double-A Columbus feels imminent for him. And lastly, at number 10, we have another pitcher that was in my honorable mentions video to start off the year, in Lucas Braun. Braun was a 6th round draft pick in 2023, and by the end of 2024, Braun had already put up 13 solid starts in Double-A. Braun started off 2025 back in Double-A and has been solid despite giving up far too many home runs and seeing his strikeout rates dip slightly. If everything goes right, the 23-year-old should find his way to Triple-A Gwinnett either at the end of this year or sometime next year, and he could start knocking on Atlanta's doorstep either next year or the year after if everything goes as planned. So there you have it. Those are my top 10 Braves prospects for the middle of the 2025 season. If you like this video and want to see more prospect videos like this, then be sure to subscribe. And as always, I hope you all have a wonderful day.